Hey Josh, have you ever like been DMing a game and like your players just keep talking about Matt Mercer and how great he is?
Yeah, it's a huge problem, honestly. Like, why is he so great? Why do
Hmm.
people have to keep talking about him? I
Yeah.
mean, why does he have to get his campaign setting published? I have what 300 followers on Twitter, and
At
nobody's
least.
offered to publish mine.
Yeah. Mercer this, Mercer that. Mercer, Mercer, Mercer. Ah,
Ridiculous. I'm so sick of it.
how come you
It's
can't do voices? How come you can't do accents?
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm D&D Beyond. I want Mercer to do a game for me. I'm Dungeon Dragon. I want Mercer to do a game for me.
Just trying my best. Well, I guess today we're talking about the Matt Mercer effect on JNJtabletop. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jake from JNJtabletop, and with me, as always, is my good friend Josh. You know, from JNJtabletop. So today, yeah, we're talking about the Matt Mercer effect, and I think before we even get into it, I would just ask you, Josh, what is the Matt Mercer effect?
The Matt Mercer effect, something that I've been hearing way too much of over the past few years, the name. It's basically the concept that because Matt Mercer exists and he's good at what he does, that all games should be like Mercer's games. And it puts an unreasonable expectation on DMs and makes their job harder because Critical Role exists and Mercer exists. And I think the thought process behind it is like, well, he's good at voices. He, Critical Role is obviously making money, so he's able to put several hours into prepping and everything. So, now my games need to be like that. Now that's what's expected of me because he's good at it. That's as far as I understand.
Yeah, and to be fair, he is an outstanding dungeon master. I don't think anybody that is basically being objective and evaluates the way he is a dungeon master, I don't think you could argue really legitimately otherwise. But I think I like the way you said that all your games have to be like Critical Role. I really like the way you said that because, spoiler alert, there is more than one way to play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know who needs to hear that. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's not the only way to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
The next point we have for discussion is the Matt Mercer effect real? So Josh is
all right. This is kind of like a personal question and answer type thing, honestly, because is the Mercer effect real? For me, I'd say no. No, the Mercer effect is not real. I guess you could say it's as real as you make it, but why are you letting the fact that someone is good at something, why does that mean that you are then bad at it, or that what you're doing is not enough? Like, it just doesn't it doesn't make sense. Like, if I like to play pickup soccer games, the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo exists doesn't mean that my pickup soccer games are now terrible and not worth playing, and that my other players expect me to play like he does. It just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense in any other context. So I don't know why people try to make it such a huge thing in this context.
Yeah, I think to that point, I would say, so Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition has really exploded as far as popularity goes. So before 5th edition, it was growing, but it wasn't experiencing near the growth rate that it is now. And I think a big part of that, I couldn't tell you how much, but a big part of that is the success of Critical Role, because Twitch grew, people were like, what the heck is this? And for many people nowadays, that was their very first exposure to what Dungeons and Dragons is. So yeah, I mean, I think that would be a very fun game to play in, especially if you get to spend a little extra time on your character and, you know, get in there and maybe have your fun little voice that you do and all that stuff, just like the rest of the cast can. But I don't know. I think there's probably a very easy way to go about fixing, or shall we say, setting expectations. There's got to be some tool in the toolbox that we could pull out for that. So, I mean, if I were to ask you, Josh, how would you avoid the Matt Mercer effect, or letting it affect your games? What would you do to combat that?
How would I mitigate the Mercer, if you will? Well, thank you. It's really, honestly, so simple. And if you put in even the tiniest bit of an effort as a DM, it shouldn't be a problem. There's this thing called a session 0. And if you want to know more about a session 0, then there, somewhere, there's a little...
Nope, and this one right here.
Yeah, that
there
one.
It is.
Click on that. We'll tell you about a session 0. But it's exactly like what you said before, is a lot of people's first experience with the game, with 5th edition, maybe even role-playing in general, was Critical Role. Mm-hmm. So that might be their expectation. Every game looks like this. If you have a session 0, you're going to set expectations for your game. You have a session 0, people are going to come in, you're going to say, hi, you know, this is my idea for the campaign. Whether you already made your characters or you're going to make them all together and decide how everything fits in, you can talk. You can ask people what they want from the game, what they are already expecting from it. You could tell people, especially if they've already seen Critical Role and you know that's how they got into the game. Fun fact, Izzy from our Dragon of Icefire Peak campaign, I got her into D&D by telling her to listen to the Critical Role podcast. And before she played in our game, I told her, we do voices and stuff, but we are not Critical Role. We only have maybe 3-5 hours maximum to put in each week for these games as a DM. Like, all of us are working 40 hours a week, if not more than that, plus other responsibilities. There's only so much you could do if you're not getting paid to play. And you set that expectation going in. Say, I am not a professional voice actor, although maybe I'm good at some voices. And I am not a professional DM. I just enjoy it. And then you go and you have fun. As long as you set the expectation and tell people, hey, this is not going to be Critical Role. This is going to be our own thing. We're going to have fun, but it's not going to be Critical Role. Then it should be fine. If your player has a problem with that, then you have a problem player and don't play with them. Like, that's all it is.
Not only was that true, that was really good alliteration.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so that's how you know that it's true. If there's good alliteration. No, but those are, that honestly, fantastic. Like, really, just talk to your players, especially if you are, like, in this case, Josh has been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a while. His friend was looking for a new podcast. He was like, hey, you're gonna want to listen to Critical Role because I know you like that stuff. And then all of a sudden, Izzy was interested in playing D&D. In that situation, you have Josh is the veteran, Izzy is the noob. He set the expectations right then and there. And yes, can Matt Mercer sit around and paint miniatures and build Dwarven Forge sets and literally is paid to do this? Absolutely. It is easily, it has to be his primary source of income at this point. And that's great. Good for him. But there's only one Critical Role. There will only ever be one Critical Role. And your game is going to be special because it has you and your players in it. And don't try to rob that specialness. That's not a word, but don't try to rob that based on comparing yourself to how somebody else does it. You bring something to the table that's unique, special, and fun, and so does every player at your table. So get out there and play some great D&D.
Let me be perfectly clear. The Matt Mercer effect is a you problem. If someone playing a game and doing it well is a problem, it's not their problem, it is your problem. If you watch this video, if you're watching this video and you feel upset or attacked, or you feel like, I'm talking about you, fix it. That's not our problem. That's not Mercer's problem. Fix yourself. You shouldn't be upset about this. have a session 0. Maybe don't idolize people and compare yourselves to other people. It's not healthy in any aspect of life, especially D&D. Take care of yourself. Talk to your players. Set expectations. And stop complaining about the Matt Mercer effect. Because frankly, I'm freaking sick of it. The whole beginning thing, the Mercer. You know what? I don't have a problem with hearing good things about Mercer. I have a problem hearing people be like, oh, because of Mercer, I can't DM anymore. Because all my players, they just want my game to be so good. And you sound like a child. Stop. Just stop. Just stop.
Okay, you done?
Yeah.
Got that off your chest?
Yeah.
Feel better?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.